Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to Two in the Zone. You have the one and only the GOAT, Dead Press Picks, and myself, Analytics Capper. We do this every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We talk about the NBA, the latest news and stories, trade rumors, things like that, as well as all the games from a betting perspective. Good slate last night. A big slate tonight. Wednesdays usually are dominated by the NBA. But let me introduce you guys to the GOAT, Dead Press Picks. How you doing, my friend?
What's up, brother? Yeah, happy to be back. Got a big slate today, so just excited to give out some picks, get into it with you. Thank you to our sponsor, Seven Stack Sports, as always, looking out, the best sports book on Twitter. Hooking everyone up yesterday with some big-time promotions. Give them a follow on Twitter at Seven Stack Sports. 24/7 customer service. Same-day payout in crypto doesn't get any better than that. But AC, let's briefly get into last night's slate because we got a lot of games tonight, and we only get a half hour. That's all they give us here to get into it. So let's start here with the game I thought was pretty interesting due to the circumstances in it. The Pelicans and T-Wolves. I was on the Pelicans. I don't know if you were on anything in this game. And that was the best bet I gave out yesterday, right? We sweep up. We were talking about our show pick record, AC. It's been running on stuck on auto for a little bit. Everything we seem like hitting. The Pelicans were my favorite one. +4, I had them. Won outright, but it was so close to going overtime. They were done in overtime, right? Like we knew that game went to overtime. T-Wolves were winning by 10. I don't know if you caught this one. Do you have any action in this game?
I didn't have any action on it. Props to BI. That was a huge 4-point play, and then he hit the game-winning 3 at the end as well. So, Brandon Ingram is a real player. The funny thing is, man, the Lakers just a couple years ago had Ingram, Kuzma, Harrell, KCP. Like all these guys are flourishing, outside of the Los Angeles system. I mean, that's kind of expected, but anyways, props to the Pelicans. That was a big win. The Timberwolves, you're right. If that game went into overtime, they would have covered the 4 points. That's easily that's where dogs go to die, right?
Oh yeah. I was sweating that one out because we also had Valanciunas over on rebounds, and we got hooked on that. So it was like, all right, if it goes to overtime, we can get the double win, but the bigger player is the Pelicans, so we needed the Pelicans to get it done. All right, Bulls Pistons. I just want to pat ourselves in the back for this one because we called the Bulls here. First half, full game, 133-87. I mean, that's an ass kicking for the Pistons to take. Yeah. Any takeaways from this game, or is this just what we?
Man, this was the easiest read of the night, and of course, it was not a VIP play. I thought it was too easy, right? We were saying full game, we were saying first half, and the Bulls covered both really, really easy. Well, they covered first half by a point. It was -8 first half.
Yeah, that was a little closer.
Yeah, they were up 9 at halftime, and then they just destroyed them in the second half. So this was a Bulls spot, right? They were coming off a really bad loss against the Mavericks, and the Pistons were coming off an amazing win against the Jazz the night before, second night of a back-to-back. So this was a Bulls spot, and Bulls are the team where I feel like, Dad, you could correct me if I'm wrong, but like even if they're public, even though it's the easy play, like the simple play, the Bulls still just like get it done, man, every time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, they've been great. We'll get into the Bulls tonight as well, but big time win there. All right, last game before we get into tonight's slate, Nuggets and Clips. Man, I was watching this one, and I was like kicking myself for not betting on the Nuggets because I thought it looked too easy. I go to grab some food, late night snack. I see, turn the TV on. The Clippers are winning. They end up winning the game by 2. Low scoring affair. Clips Nuggets. I mean, what was your thoughts on that one?
So this was not a play that I sent out to VIP, but I did hop on the under live. It was 172.5, dude. 172.5 on the live. They ended up with 172, 87, 85. But this was crazy, man. This is the Nuggets story all season long. They had a 25-point lead in the second half, blew it, and the Clippers won at home without Kawhi, without Paul George. Kennard was out. Like, they had nobody, and they still won. That's pretty bad loss by Denver, man.
Yeah, they're struggling. All right, let's get into tonight's slate again. Thank you to our sponsor, Seven Stack Sports. Tweeted this early in the morning. You say it's the easiest gambling day of the year because it is. We're not losing any bets today. We're going.
Let's go, bro. Let's go.
Fired up for the NBA slate. We also got a really good college slate, but we will only get to NBA on this one. But let's kick it off here. Celtics, Pacers. Pacers, they have been awful this season. 15-26. It's a super underwhelming year. On the flip side, man, the Celtics haven't been all that good themselves, playing a game under 500 tonight, -2.5. We know the injuries for the Pacers. I believe Marcus Smart is out again, guys. This fluctuates because we're recording at 1 on the East Coast. NBA guys, they just switch up their minds like 2 minutes before the game. Pacers injury report has Warren listed out, LeVert out, Brogdon out, Duarte day-to-day. So I don't, and Goga, if I'm saying that right. Yep, he's out too. So
yeah, Batazzi.
Batazzi. Yeah. What's your thoughts on this one tonight? Assuming if all these guys are out for the Pacers, like how don't the Celtics cover the 2.5 tonight?
It's crazy, right? Like the line is actually moving towards the Pacers. Some books had it opened at Celtics -3.5, some at -3. Now it's currently sitting at -2.5 with all those guys out for the Pacers. The only issue with the Pacers is they're just not playing really well recently. They're only 3-9 in their last 12 against Boston. They're only 3-7-1 against the spread against Boston in the last 11. So this is a team that kind of dominates Indy. It's an Indy spot, man. Just like the Pelicans last night, it's the same exact read in my opinion. So if you want to go the sharp side, I think it is a Pacers play. But for me, man, I think I'm going to lay off.
Yeah, I mean, the whole team's out. I think the mascot's playing center tonight for them. So,
Right.
I mean, listen, I give them a chance in this one. The line certainly says Pacers, but they're just a team that always screws me no matter what.
Every time, man. Every time.
There's a weird team. All right, we'll move to my team, the Sixers, tonight laying 5 at home in the city of brotherly love. They've been lights out with Joel Embiid, AC. I mean, their record with Embiid, I think they've only lost 8 games all season.
Yeah.
So half their losses have come without him. A lot of news has been swirling around Philly with I don't know how they think they're going to package Simmons and Tobias because Tobias' contract could, buy my entire county. But he's the kind of guy who we're looking at, to this point in the season. And the Sixers are like they're 7 games above 500. I know it being in Philly, a lot of people are overreacting to the new Simmons and this team. We're still sitting at like a 4 or 5 seed in the East. It's been fluctuating. Tonight, day-to-day, Curry, Tobias, Shake I know is out for the Hornets. Oubre and Vernon Carey Jr. are both out. So keep an eye on Seth and Tobias for sure because they're 2 starters in the lineup. Assuming they do go, what do you think about this one tonight?
Yeah, let me go ahead and give Joel Embiid, my favorite big in the NBA, his flowers, man. He has scored over 30 points in 7 straight games. There's only been 2 other Sixers to have done that. Iverson, and of course, Wilt Chamberlain. If I asked you, Dad, who has a better 3-point percentage for the year, Joel Embiid or Steph Curry? Nobody would say Joel Embiid, but he is beating Steph Curry in terms of percentages from 3. So, I mean, the guy is out of this world. He's put this team on his back. They may not cover every game, but they are definitely winning on a winning streak. At home, they kind of struggled, Dad. I don't know why. Maybe you have some more information on me than me, but they're only like 3-8 in their last 11 home games. They are 5-0 straight up recently. They are dominating this head-to-head matchup. I think they're 5-0 against the Hornets in the last 5. The Hornets are coming off a really nice run, right? They beat the Bucks back-to-back. That's a very impressive back-to-back win. The spot here to me is the Sixers. I know they've been beating up on some bad teams, Rockets, Spurs, Magic. This is their first kind of above average team that they're going to face. But I love the Sixers tonight, man. There's no way I can fade Joel Embiid right now.
AC, I put out the question, Embiid or Jokic. The chat is saying Jokic, but me and you are Embiid guys, right? But I mean, he's putting up MVP type of numbers right now. He's keeping this team afloat, giving them a chance. I think it's a Sixers play tonight. Hornets coming off 2 wins over the Bucks. I just think it's a good crash and burn spot for them. Want to make sure Seth goes for sure. Not as worried about Tobias. I mean, he's still a nice player.
Man, you guys, you're so low on Tobias right now.
Yeah, I mean, I've been low on Tobias since since the Butler incident. So I mean, maybe it's also that he's playing on a max contract, right? Like he's making more money than the majority of the players in the NBA. So he's not that he's a bad player, but he's an awful max player for sure. Let's move to your Mavericks, AC.
Ooh, big game.
Shout out to our boy Alpha Hefe Bet. It picks 2 big Knicks guys. Obviously, you're a Mavs guy. But let's get into this one tonight, right? The Knicks here at home, they're in the Garden, and they're dogs again here. Again, we're talking injury reports. There's a lot of guys that we have to keep an eye on for the Knicks. We know Kemba is out for this one, but then it gets deeper than that. Noel, Taj Gibson, so that's size that they're missing. What's Porzingis' status? Is he out or is he back?
Yeah, he's out. COVID protocol. He
So he's
wouldn't want to
still
play in the Garden anyways. Let's be
I was gonna
honest.
say, because I could see some KP revenge. Also, Willie Cauley-Stein listed out on the injury report. So again, it's just some size that you missed there. But what do you think? Because to me, the line says Mavericks like they're on the road without KP for 2.5. You think it's a Mavs play?
Yeah, the Mavericks are playing really well, man. They're on a 5-6 game winning streak, I believe, and 2 of those wins were against really good teams, right? The Warriors and the Bulls at home. So those are 2 very impressive wins. They also beat the Nuggets and the scrappy Thunder team. So I mean, they are playing well. They are on the road tonight against Madison Square. We kind of alluded to this a couple shows ago. RJ Barrett is going through this pattern where he has a good game, bad game, good game, bad game. He just had a good game. The pattern tonight would be a bad game, right? He follows that pattern. If he doesn't score 25 to 30 points tonight, I don't think Dallas is going to lose. So give me Dallas. I think it's the right play. Steaming road favorite against, one of the more public teams in the NBA. Right. So give me the Mavs, man. It's hard because, I'm a Mavericks fan. I rarely bet the Mavs. But I think tonight is a Dallas play.
Yeah, you want to try and, leave the bias out of it, the same with Philly. But for the Knicks, man, I think it's a good fade spot on them tonight. They're coming off a nice win over the Spurs. Look, the line says the Mavs. Like, you don't have KP in this game, and they're still on the road, a 2.5-point favorite. I think it's easily the Mavs tonight on this nationally televised game. Let's get to the Heat and the Hawks, all right? The Hawks, last season, they, Eastern Conference Finals, they knock off my Sixers. Mm-hmm. They played the Bucks, I would say somewhat tough. Like they showed up in some of those games, right? This season, man, they're 17-22. Like, what's going on with the Hawks? I understand they haven't been healthy, the COVID protocol. Now today, their injury report looks a little better because I see Cam and Capella day to day. We know DeAndre Hunter is going to be out. For the Heat, this is the current report that I have. No Morris, no KZ, Marcus Garrett, who's not a pivotal player, Jimmy Butler, and Dwayne Dedmon. So a lot of size because we know Bam's still out, right? So, if Capella plays in this game, I think the Hawks roll. What do you think in this?
Yeah, it's definitely an Atlanta read. I only had one play yesterday, right? It was the over in the Raptors game, the Suns Raptors, and that was not even close. I kind of like the over in this game. I don't think I'm going to play the over. It's definitely a Hawks read. I don't want to call it a screamer, but there are a lot of big pieces that are missing. I mean, Oladipo, Adebayo, Butler, those are 3 of your top players. If Dedmon doesn't go, like you said, Capella may eat. If Capella is not going to go, John Collins is going to eat. The only issue here is because of the Ben Simmons rumors dead, like John Collins' name have been thrown around, Cam Reddish. Yeah. So I don't know how focused these guys are. But if they're focused, they still have Trae Young tonight, best player on the court. I like the Hawks tonight, man.
Yeah, and like we said, Okongwu will probably step in, right? I think he's a really good player as well, but I just feel like if Capella plays in this game, look for a Capella prop too, because if they're down Dedmon, I know that their one guy, Yurtseven, however you say his name, that dude's like, he just eats up rebounds. I mean, he's just unreal. But you know what I mean? Like rebounding, they're going to have a serious edge. It's like a couple nights ago, Jared Allen, when he played the Kings, right? They didn't have Holmes and they didn't have Jones. So they were down, depth's really important on the board. So yeah. I think that could be a good prop as well. Keep an eye out for that. All right, Magic Wizards, this game, a little bit of a sleeper tonight, 7-34. How about that record for the Magic? Wiz back over 500. AC, I got to tell you, last night, I took Kyle Kuzma's over on points, right?
Nice. It was that all-leather fit, man.
I was going to say, it's because he was tripping. A lot of people hate on Kuz's outfits, but, I mean, he's just got that different style. I saw, Kuz was trolling the Sixers yesterday on Twitter. He was making fun of the Tobias Simmons deal. So, you know what? Kuz, he's having his fun. He's been making me money, so I'm not going to complain. But no Bradley Beal last night. I don't know his status on tonight's game. I believe he is out, but I don't want to quote it. Yeah, so he's out.
COVID.
Magic, again, man, they're just so, beat up, and they're not good to begin with. Do you think 6.5 on a back-to-back? What do you think? They're at home here tonight.
I think the line is kind of a sucker line, man. Everybody knows how bad Orlando is. Wizards coming off a really good win. although no Beal, they are getting a lot of scoring from other pieces there in Washington. So I feel like they should be favored more in this game. The 6.5 is making me feel like the books want the novice better to bet Washington blindly. And maybe
Right.
I'm just thinking about it too much. Like I could be overthinking it, and they just like blow out Orlando just because they're so bad. But it's a layoff for me. I also lean the under in this game. Wizards second night back to back. They should be on fatigued legs, and then the Magic can't score at all. So I kind of lean the under. What about you?
How about a Wizards first half play so the legs don't catch up to them? You know what I mean? Because like second half with teams on a back to back, you see it a lot. They just die down, right? Like the NBA, it's people get mad at it, but like your team can be up 15, then go like that's normal in the NBA, right? Like college basketball, blowing a 15-point lead's hard because of the pace. NBA, it's really easy to come
Oh yeah,
back.
15 points is like a minute and a half.
Yeah, I mean the way they shoot threes and the pace, like the league has evolved in that way. But I think if you like the Wizards tonight, you take them early because we could see the legs die down a little bit. They had to play a hard game. Like the Thunder played them hard last night, won
Yeah.
by 4, but it was a game that was tough on a lot of their starters. Their starters put up a lot of minutes.
Dad, props to you and I. We have over 200 people right now in the live watching the show. So let me go ahead and reset it real quick. Thank you, everybody, for jumping on. This is Two in the Zone. If you haven't joined us before, we do this every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We break down last night's NBA slate and we get into some of our best bets of tonight's NBA slate. Our sponsor is Seven Stack Sports, so please give them a follow. Get set up with them. You know, they are the best Twitter book in town. Minus 105 juice lines, same day payouts if you're using cryptocurrency, 24/7 customer service, over 2,000 clients, and they've been in the business for several years. So definitely look into that if you need to add, more books into your portfolio. They've been working with us for months, and Dad and I vouch for them. So definitely look into it. Give them a follow at the very least. Seven Stack Sports. All right, man. Let's get into the rest of the games.
And AC, one thing to add, make sure if you're watching, retweet the video because Stack's going to send 10 people $10. A little lunch money, parlay money, whatever you want to call it. All right, Rockets, Spurs, AC. Spurs, 15-25, right? All we need from the Spurs is to win 29 games. All they have to do is win 14 more games this season. They have to be able to do that, right? Like they have like 30-something left, 38 left. I think they're going to cruise this team total, but these are the games they have to win. This is a big one for us tonight.
Yeah.
The Rockets team total under, but
It'll be a double win.
yeah, it'd be a double up. All that stuff aside, San Antonio 6.5 tonight. Like the Rockets are just so bad. I mean, I tried to back them a couple days ago, like as a 7-point dog or something against the T-Wolves. They got the living hell beat out of them. What do you think about the Spurs tonight? Because I like this -6, but again, it's going to be a special here where I like the first half a little bit more because I'm getting that short number.
I sent this out already. It's going to be a free play. I like the over here. I know it's super high. It's 230.5 against two pretty mediocre teams. Spurs a little bit better, but the Rockets play zero defense, man. Let me give you some of their history. In their last 5 games, they've given up 111, 141, 130, 111, and 133. So the Spurs just need to move the ball around, make a few threes. They've been kind of in a slump recently, Dad, when it comes to their 3-point shooting. They're sub like 42% from the field right now. They get that number to 45%, make 10 to 15 threes tonight. I think they'll hit their team total really easily. And hopefully the Rockets hang because they'll help with the over. As far as the side, man, I lean with you. I lean the Spurs. They're back home. They are getting a little bit healthier, and it's just impossible to back the Rockets right now. I'm
with you. Yeah, I think it's a Spurs play here. Getting a little bit healthier too at home. Good spot for the Spurs tonight, but I will also cheer on that over. How about the Spurs just drop like 150 or something like that?
I love it, man. I love it.
Cavs and Jazz. Jazz tonight -5.5. Back in Utah, looks like Joe Ingles is out. Jared Butler's out. They have some other guys questionable, but for the Cavs, they're for considering what they have had to deal with, getting a little bit healthier. What do you think about this one tonight between the Jazz and the Cavs? The Jazz are a reminder here. I see the Jazz are coming off 3 losses in a row, right?
Yeah.
Is this that like bounce back spot for the Jazz, you think, tonight at home against the Cavs?
This is very similar to the Bulls read last night, right? The Bulls coming off a loss, they're playing a bad team, and then they're back at home, so they kind of beat up on the Pistons. But this is tough, man. The Cavs are not a bad team. Darius Garland has had 2 back-to-back subpar games, so I actually expect them to kind of turn it up tonight. Or they're a young team. It's a long road trip, and they just suck tonight. Who knows, man? But it's definitely a Jazz bounce back spot, like you said, coming off 3 losses, and it hasn't even been close in any of those games. I'm sure they're happy to be back home because that was like a 5-6 game road trip for them as well. Only 3-11 in their last 14 games dead against the spread, the Jazz. So they're struggling, man. Maybe they're gonna get back right tonight. It's a layoff for me because you know me, man. I love the Cavs as a team, even without Rubio, even without Sexton. They try so hard. But yeah, no read for me here. What about you?
Yeah, I mean the issue has been for them. It's Rudy Gobert, right? Since he's hit COVID, they can't win. Like they don't have the paper. They're not a deep team at the
I guess
center.
he is a defensive player of the year, huh?
That's what I mean. Yeah, you gotta give them credit. Like they're just not deep enough at the center position. Their bench in general isn't extremely deep. Like Clark's
Yeah.
typically coming off, but that's kind of what's been able to catch up to them. They're very top heavy. So I mean, yeah, it's probably a layoff. I think the Jazz do bounce back because I just don't think they lose 4 in a row. But that 5.5, it's kind of a high number here for me. So I'm going to lay off. All right, this is my favorite game of the night, AC. The Nets and the Bulls. Going to hype this up real quick.
Game of the day, man. Game of the day. Yeah, I'll kind of give some background while you hype that up. So the Nets, they're going to have Kyrie tonight, right? He's a part-time player. They're on the road in Chicago. Nets sitting at 25-14. Chicago sitting at 27-11. First place in the East. So this is kind of like the first matchup, in the Eastern Conference where we potentially have an Eastern Conference Finals preview. 2 really good teams. The Nets coming off a loss. They've been on a loss pattern. They lost to Portland, really bad loss recently. Whereas the Bulls, outside of the Mavericks loss, they lost in Dallas 2 games ago. They've been rolling. So a lot of DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, Vucevic is back. They're 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 home games, so they are rolling at home. They're back home tonight in Chicago, but I don't know if you agree with me here, and I'm not going to make it a VIP play yet. I just have to wait until it's closer to game time. But I think Kevin Durant is going to go off tonight, dead. Yeah, I think like a 50 piece.
Yeah, I have trouble fading the Nets with points. Like they're and like you said, they're the best part-time worker in America back, Kyrie Irving. Like, it's just you have to trust them, I think, with getting the points. Bulls are on a back-to-back, and I understand they're not that taxed because of the blowout last night. But
yeah,
it's still a back-to-back. Like, I mean, I think getting the points in this spot, I feel like it's a tough read because I don't want to say the Nets should be favored, but with getting Kyrie back in the lineup, it does make the line a little suspicious to me. But I think I'm going to take the points. I'm going to take the value. I'm going to take a shot here on the money line. I mean, I could see it where it starts Bulls, right? Because we know the Nets are a later team, and then the Nets kind of push it back. So it could be.
And there's definitely argument against Nets, right? LaMarcus could be out tonight. I think Harden is dealing with an injury. They're still missing Joe Harris, their best shooter. So the Bulls are definitely deeper. They top end talent can compete with the Nets.
Right.
If this line was like -4, -5, I would love the Bulls. But that -2, it's like it's
line.
I hate home short favorites, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I agree with you. I think the value is the Nets.
I would take a shot on the Nets, but make sure, Harden and even Aldridge, being valuable players. Obviously, keep an eye on that injury report. Betting NBA early in the day, it is not easy. All right, final game of the night. Want to shout out our boy Grant Albert because he was asking us about this. The greatest
He's the GOAT, man. He is the GOAT
ever. We're gonna have to hook him up with some gear soon. Lakers and Kings. He was saying in the comments about getting 4 points with the Kings. Is that a gift, getting 4 points with the Kings? Because it is the Lakers, right? And Lakers on the road. I love the Kings tonight. I had them against the Cavs, getting 6. I think they get it done again here against the Lakers tonight. What's your thoughts on this one, AC?
I think the rule is you can't back the Lakers as favorites. I think that's the rule. They're the worst favorite against the spread team in the league.
Ever.
So by default, you can't do it, even if you have some amazing, angle or some amazing stats that back up the Lakers tonight. They usually don't do it. And we've seen this spot many times, man, when they play a bad team on the road and they play down to their competition, and it requires like a really big game for LeBron. They could be entering the fourth quarter with a big deficit, and LeBron goes out for like 15, 17 points just to win. Like, I agree that the value here is the Kings. I hate both teams. I've lost so much money backing both of these teams. I'm going to lay off. I'm going to focus on watching this game and watching the Nets Bulls games.
All right, I feel that. But I do think it's a Kings play to answer Grant's question. But yeah, I mean, both of these teams have not been great to the gambler this season. All right, AC, before we wrap it up, let's get into our favorite play of the day, guys. These have been red hot. I think our last 4 episodes, we have hit all of them. So let's hype it up a little bit here, AC. Best bet for today.
All right, let me share on the Twitter verse here.
Yes, sir. Yep. So for me, while you're sharing that, I'm going to turn to my favorite bet of the night, and it's going to be the Atlanta Hawks -2.5. But the reason I'm saying this too, and I want to make sure like Capella plays because I think that's a big thing. I want to make sure that the guys who they say are in. So keep an eye out for that. But I love the Hawks tonight. Like the Heat, I think they have still dealing with some guys out. I think the size in this game with no Bam, no Dedmon, it catches up to them. So I think it's a big game from Trey. I think it's a good spot for the Hawks. And I think the Hawks become a good team to back. Because I remember last time we said this is when they ripped off a little bit of a win streak. This is going to be a good time to start backing the Hawks. So I think it's a Hawks play here. I like the Hawks. Hawks -2.5. That is my favorite play of the night. Let's get a win there in Atlanta. So that's going to be the one I'm going with. Let's stay hot, baby. Let's get 5 in a row, 2 in the zone, best bets.
Let's do it, man. Let's do it. So this is not my best bet, but I do want to recap that this is going to be a free play that I'll post later. But the Rockets Spurs over. I haven't had good luck with overs this week, but I think this is a great spot. Both teams are over teams. I'm just going to trust it here. Again, please manage your bankroll. This is not a mortgage bet by any means, but I like the Rockets Spurs over 230.5. I just have this gut, man, when it comes to the Nets Bulls tonight. I think everybody is enamored with the Bulls, justifiably so. You know, you and I have them in the playoffs. They're not only in the playoffs, they're like a legit contender.
Yeah,
when that happens, man, the superstar comes out and rises to the top. I think Durant has a huge game today. He's been under 30, I believe, the last 3 games. I think he's going to be above 30 today. So give me Durant points prop tonight. I think he's going to go off.
All right. KD, big night. Hawks get the win. We stay red hot on these. AC, that Hawks to make the playoffs bet, though, I think that was the easiest bet that I've ever hit submit on.
The Bulls to make the playoffs?
Bulls, yeah, sorry. Yeah. Hawks. They might not make it. But, I mean, come on now. That was – I know, like, mine was, like, -135, so I know it wasn't, like, we hit anything crazy.
We should have done more, man. We should have done make the playoffs and then also win the conference. They were probably, like, plus 2,000.
Yeah, they're going to have a shot. They're definitely going to have a shot. There's no doubt about that. All right, guys, if you want to rewatch this back, if you just joined, remember you can hit that rewind button, watch everything. We did breakdowns on last night, breakdowns on tonight. I know a lot of people got on for the best bets, but we also understand a lot of people hard at work during this time of day. Keep your eye out for the NBA, though, injury reports, all that good stuff. For sure. Again, thank you to our sponsor, The Best Sportsbook, on Twitter, @7StackSports. If you want any of the picks we talked about, you go to 7 Stacks. You're going to get them at -105. So you don't even have to pay juice. You're getting great lines. Hit them up. Follow them on Twitter, @7StackSports. Any last words of encouragement?
No, Best Book on Twitter, sponsoring the best basketball show on Twitter. So thank you, everybody, for your support. Dead Prez, good luck on your bets tonight, my friend.
All right.